Hello everyone, we're here with another modern video, and today we're playing Twiddle Storm. So as of yesterday, Violent Outburst was banned in Modern, and I think this helps the positioning of, well, a bunch of decks, but in particular, I think it helps Twiddle Storm. So Rhinos was not great as a matchup, especially the 4-color leyline binding rhinos, where you had to play defense grid kind of to try to beat binding plus the counter spells. And I think I never really particularly liked defense grid. It feels a little bit clunky. It feels a little bit unfortunate to draw in multiples. I like Veil of Summer a lot better. I like trying to interact on the stack a lot better, but the realities of the situation meant that it wasn't, defense grid was kind of the correct choice. So with Rhinos easing up as far as pressure on the format, I think a lot of Twiddle Storm's good matchups get better. So everyone is talking about Amulet and Yawgmoth. Twiddle Storm, I'm very happy to play against the two of those all day. I'm a little worried about a potential uptick in scam as a result of this, but we're hoping to just kind of manage it. The deck list that I'm running, again, I've cut the defense grids. We're playing a bunch of Lightning Bolt and Veil of Summer because Bowmasters is basically public enemy #1 at the moment. Other than that, I think a lot of this is reasonably stock. Some people aren't playing the Pact. I do kind of still like the Pact. I'm also playing this one of Dress Down. I think it maybe is just an extra tool against Amulet. Also not bad against like Yawgmoth or Scam. Shut off multiple Bowmasters at once. And then we can just win with Grape Shot if we need to there. So that's the list. Jegantha in the sideboard, maybe Bluff that we're Zoo or something like that. And occasionally we could end up casting it in a game that goes weird. So this is the deck list, and let's get into some matches. And we're here with the first round, so let's see what we get as our opening hand. We have lost the die roll, which is a little bit unfortunate. And our opening hand does include lands and a Lotus field, so I do like this. We have a Consider to try and help find some sort of additional piece of business. In particular, the ring or maybe a wish. We're definitely going to go ahead and keep this. We do have to immediately start thinking about, are we going to be fetching our Scry land or our Surveil land on turn 1, or are we going to play this Consider on turn 1? And that decision is going to depend on what our opponent does. So if there's a potential threat to this Consider via something like a Thoughtseize, I would maybe like to hold up the option, although, okay, so our opponent plays Spire Bluff Pass. This could certainly be Murktide. I'm going to play Delta and pass, hold our options open, probably not cash in this Consider right away, instead go for the Surveil, and then go for a turn 2 Consider. If it is Murktide, it's nice to have this Otawara in hand, so that we can have an answer to an actual Murktide that maybe they put into play. Our opponent is, again, just passing, so I'm kind of okay with that. Here we're going to go for the fetch. We'll get Hedge Maze. And Breach is good. We'll keep Breach on top. That's a piece of the puzzle. No pun intended, not to reference pieces of the puzzle, the classic blue-red Storm card. We'll play the other Delta here. This is just going to get another card in our graveyard, so I'm going to play this over Island so that we can potentially, just in case we need to go for a non-deterministic breach, have an extra card sitting there. So we pass our turn. It's our opponent's turn 3. And we've got this Consider ready for the end step. Our opponent goes for a Preordain. And we also have to think about whether we're going to fetch before or after this Consider. So I think we're probably going to fetch a basic Island, which means that we should fetch before the Consider for the marginal thinning. Although we do also have the possibility of not playing this Lotus field right away. In which case maybe we fetch a tapped Steam Vents. Our opponent is still just kind of doing a whole lot of nothing. This is a little bit of a weird spot. So again, they're representing some form of interaction. The question is, do I go for anything next turn? I think it's pretty unlikely that they're playing main deck Blood Moon. So I maybe would like to be able to be in a spot of going for things next turn. But I'm going to fetch this island. I'm going to consider. And depending on what I see, I could think about using Dream's Grip to tap down a land. Green Pool is definitely not something we need. Sylvan Scrying is also not really something that we need. So the thing is, we aren't really in a position to combo here. So I think I am going to go for this Sylvan Scrying with the idea that if they counter and try to bait a counter for it. Like, so if they counterspell this, that's great. I'm just treating this as a discard spell. And if not, then that's okay too. We just get another land. Exactly. So we baited a counterspell in a situation where we have the Lotus Field. So now I'm going to play this other island. Now, if for some reason they like untap Blood Moon, I have Lotus Field and then hold up Otawara. On the other hand, if they don't, I still potentially can win out of nowhere next turn if needed. So the goal will be to see if they tap down lower. So yeah, we're going to just make them think that we don't have a Lotus Field. And they're going for an expressive iteration, so this is a Murktide. The counterspell gave that away. And we suspected it probably was already Murktide. But you never know for sure. Question is, what are they getting? This will get them to 5, so they could potentially play an actual Murktide here. Wouldn't be the biggest, but I mean, probably something they're going to do, because if they didn't have any of their faster threats, oh no, okay, maybe they just have another counterspell. That's a little bit annoying. Yeah, I'm reading this as they have another counterspell. Echoing Truth is somewhat relevant. I didn't want to show this Lotus Field, but I do sort of like the idea of maybe Cycle of the Vizier, try to get some card draw going, just in case there's a world where maybe we can like tap down a land, pass to main 2. And again, I think they're extremely unlikely to have Actually, I'm going to sacrifice the Hedge Maze. I made a little bit of a mistake here. They're unlikely to have main deck Blood Moon, I think. We draw off the Vizier. A decent draw would have actually been like another Sylvan Scrying. Even though it seems not great on paper, it does give the ability to. And I'm going to draw again. Just to know whether or not I want to tap a land of theirs. Preordain. Okay. So we can sacrifice Hedge Maze, Basic Island. Keeping the Basic Island in case we need to Echoing Truth something. We can Preordain. Hidden Strings, Talaria West. So Talaria West represents a land. I don't particularly need that. I don't really feel like I need Hidden Strings either. Misty Rainforest is, again, not what I need. I'm just going to go ahead and pass here. We can hold up this Echoing Truth. And we, again, potentially can end step some sort of interaction as needed. Our opponent gets a Hedge Maze, so they are Teamer Murktide or Rogue Murktide. I hate that I said Teamer there. Probably playing Tarmogoyf, but maybe it's just for Pick Your Poison. I feel like the Tarmogoyf lists were sort of a specific response to Rhinos, so I feel like those are maybe not quite as good now as they have been at other times. They are playing a Tarmogoyf, okay. It's totally fine. And we'll pass. And again, they're holding up interaction. Pact of Negation is decent because it does mean that when we are able to combo, we're going to be able to combo. So at this point, we're basically just looking for Wish or the One Ring. Well, not guaranteed, but I'm figuring we probably will have to beat one piece of interaction. I'm not guaranteeing we'll have to beat two pieces of interaction. I think we're not under enough pressure that I want to like go for it there in a non-deterministic line off of this preordain. I'm like okay with that. Our opponent is going to attack with this Tarmogoyf. I think I'm going to bounce it in combat because I actually do want them to tap down a little bit post-combat to replay this. And then have to potentially be taps down to one piece of interaction. And they're playing a DRC also, and I'm fully just reading this as second counter spell. So we'll fetch to thin. I can pick up the Steam Vents, not tapped, or sorry, not untapped, tapped. Draw Sylvan Scrying, which is not the best. Definitely not the best. So let's say we were to like twiddle breach. Kind of have to hit something with like preordain or consider. When we do have a decent number of digs, our graveyard is pretty full. They're tapped down to 2. I'm not actually sure we're getting a better window here. I think this maybe is just our window and that we try to go all in on finding something here. We will use Twiddle's ability to untap the Lotus field. And then I'm going to go for a breach. Holding up mana to kind of decide what to do afterwards. They're going to play a counterspell. So we can see what they surveil. Surveil away an Unholy Heat. I'm going to pact this counterspell. And breach resolves. If I can grip. Okay, they just concede. We were not dead there. I mean, I was a little worried about that, but okay. They don't want to see us go through that, so we get there. We were just kind of relying on digging with our preordain, but I think they just saw stocked graveyard and scooped, so I'm pretty happy about that. Okay, so against Murktide, Veil of Summer is key, absolutely key. Other cards that I want here, Dress Down's very whatever. Bolt, I mean, it can kill a Ragavan, it can kill a DRC, so it can buy some time. I don't hate Bolt. Echoing Truth also against Murktide is worth thinking about. What cards don't I need? I mean, the cantrips are good. Scrying, I can maybe cut like one Scrying. Echoing Truth actually I also need against Blood Moon or Magus effects. Other cards that I don't need, maybe I do just cut like a Consider. Maybe we cut a Twiddle. This is a little bit slower of a matchup. We cut, I don't really want to cut a land. Maybe we don't need all the bolts. 2 bolts is good enough. Good cut of Vizier. Sometimes that's a relatively free cut. Maybe even the second Vizier. We're going for like a more sculpted win. Maybe another Consider. I don't like doing that, but for this deck, always I find it a little bit tough to sideboard with. Alright, so game number 2. And let's see how it goes. Our opponent is on the play. We have not yet seen our opening hand. They need to click that they are going to be on the play. Important to note that our clock is still in relatively good shape. Twiddle, definitely a deck that can take a pretty large amount of time in order to sort of click through all of the necessary game actions. Okay, so any day now. Any day now. Other things that we could be thinking about, maybe on, I mean, if we're on the play in game 3, if we lose this one, oops, okay. So Jagantha is going to get revealed. And our opening hand here is pretty decent. We have a Ring, we have a Breach, we have Veil, we have Delta, so we can go turn 1, and turn 1 we can get a Surveil land, and then turn 2, okay, they're not playing a turn 1 play. That's excellent for us, because our hand is a little bit slow. Powerful, but slow. So then on turn 2 we can play a Scrying and hopefully bait out a counter spell. And then turn 3 we have like Twiddle, or sorry, Lotus Field, and then maybe if we draw an untapper we can play the Ring. Otherwise it's going to be, I don't know why they didn't get a Surveil land there. Maybe they need the red. Or maybe they already have it in their hand. And they've shown us that they play the green-blue Surveil. Kind of surprised that they're not playing the blue-red Surveil. And they're going to go for a Preordain on 2 here. And I'm kind of expecting this to be Spell Pierce if they pass and then hold up if they just hold up a mana. They go top, bottom, play a Bauble. And are they going to Bauble us? If they do, I'm probably going to fetch. Okay. So we're going to fetch. We're going to Surveil, and maybe they'll get to see it with Bauble, but that's how it goes. Hedge Maze. Yeah, I'm fully reading this as Spell Pierce. I will definitely take a Vizier. Just need untappers. Sort of capitalize on this ring. So they're seeing that we're drawing a Vizier. So I have the interesting situation of, do I play Flooded Strand or do I play Boseiju? I think I'm going to play Flooded Strand. Get a basic island with the idea that if I need to, next turn I can field Vizier, hold Boseiju up. Boseiju does represent my Veil of Summer after a Lotus Field. Yeah, we expected that to get Spell Pierced. And we're totally okay with that, because we have the Lotus Field in hand. So sort of best case for us right now is that our opponent, like, plays, I don't know, plays like an expressive iteration. Blood Moon. Okay, so we were sort of hedging against this a little bit. It's a little bit unfortunate in that they do kind of get us here, but so now we need to find one of our Echoing Truths. But we do have the island, which lets us play around that. We do just get to jam multiple Lotus Fields into play, which is nice. Next turn, we potentially get to play the Ring, which is also very nice. And I think I'm going to hard cast this Vizier. They're likely to be boarded out, or they're likely to have stuff boarded out after this, or like their removal boarded out. Although they will still have Bolt, but they won't have like Heat. And this means that we get 2 uses of the Ring right away if the Ring resolves. Okay, but they kill the Vizier with Bolt. I'm also okay with that. We draw a Sylvan Scrying, which is, I mean, it's something. I probably am reading this as another counter spell, so I'm not going to throw the Ring into another counter spell. I want them to like tap off of blue from Murktide, and then we play the Ring or something like that. Note that if we do find Echoing Truth, we're just kind of going crazy. And what is this? Ragavan. Okay, so that's a little bit annoying, definitely. But I mean, they do only have 2 cards in their hand, and let's see what they find with this Ragavan. They hit a Twiddle, that's not a big deal. What are they going to do? Twiddle one of our lands? No. This Boseiju is a little bit unfortunate in that I can't really cash it in because we don't have basic green mana. It's something that you really kind of... Ooh, Otawara. Otawara is a pretty good pickup. So this does sort of let us end step Otawara, bounce Blood Moon. And then the question is, do we need this Boseiju in play? I think I would rather have this Boseiju in play. just to have the extra land to really try to leverage my mana next turn. Because I don't really have many or any untappers. So we're going to go through our opponent's turn. We are holding Veil for what I expect is a counterspell out of them. They're not spending any of their blue mana, which just really screams counterspell to me. They do have a lot of mana, but I mean, they don't have that many cards in their hand. I mean, they could certainly have 2 pieces of interaction, but they could also just have like Counterspell Bolt or something like that. This Fiery Islet will be something that they can use after the... Okay, so they hit a ring. The interesting thing is, are they going to play it? Play DRC. And they are playing the ring. Okay. So they Surveil. They have 1 mana left over. So we're going to get to resolve a ring of our own. And I feel relatively okay about that. So we will, again, bounce the Blood Moon back to their hand. I should have really left a Lotus Field untapped. I don't know why I did that. But again, we held on to... Actually, no, they played the Blood Moon on 2. But we have the situation here where we're holding on to the Lotus Fields until after the Blood Moon is played, so that we're not really down lands from that. So that's nice. They have 1 mana. They could definitely have like a Spell Pierce or something. Dream's Grip is excellent. That's exactly the sort of card we need. And so I'm going to go for the ring here. Holding up Veil, holding up Dream's Grip. Okay, so the ring resolves. That's excellent. We're going to draw a card. Draw a Veil. So we can grip. We can definitely grip. If we play... We need to play Breach off of this other Lotus Field, though. And so if we Breach... Well, we can Veil off of the Boseiju and have 6 cards in our yard. We play the field off of Breach, we Dream's Grip, and then we Dream's Grip the ring, or we can double Dream's Grip the ring. I have to count the mana. I think we do... Oh, I didn't play a land this turn, though, so I could potentially Sylvan Scrying for my Steam Vents and get the blue that way. That's another option. I think... this is actually kind of a tough spot. So if I Sylvan Scrying for the Steam Vents, play the Steam Vents. 1, 2, I have 4 mana left over. The Steam Vents is in play. All of this is blue. I go down to 2 mana to play Breach. I grip the ring, draw cards. I have 1 mana left. I need to grip the... that's a little bit dicey. Okay, so I think maybe where we start... But I need to... If I make red here... I can't double... Well, I can grip first. Red, blue, grip, field. Okay, yeah, I think that's the line. And we're still just holding up Veil. We play Breach. Again, we have Veil as needed. We're going to see what they do. They are thinking a little bit here. If I could cash in this Veil to draw a card, I would very much like that. So let's see what they do. I'm really just honestly hoping for like Spell Pierce. Spell Snare, I think that's less likely than Pierce though. They could draw a card with the ring. That's something that is totally valid. Okay, so they're drawing the card. And does Breach resolve? They're going for a Spell Snare. Okay, so then we go for the Veil. I'm going to do this before they Surveil. Oh, and we draw extra Dream's Grip, so that's excellent. That's huge. Okay, so now we do need to untap one of our Lotus Fields first. But now we can untap the ring, draw some cards. We draw Minamo, which is another untap of the ring. Draw some more cards. We can now Hidden Strings the Ring and the Lotus Field. Now we're going off. More cards. Another Hidden Strings. And we should just be good from here. 5 cards. And we have a Dream Script to untap the ring again. Draw more cards. We have another Hidden Strings. So this will be 7, 8. I won't be able to draw the 9 cards. Now our opponent did play the ring last turn, so we do just need to be slightly mindful of that. We're going to have to win with Thassa's Oracle. They could certainly have like a subtlety or something like that, so I'd like to not get got by subtlety. I think the odds of that are pretty minimal, though. I mean, we do have Pact, so it really isn't possible for us to lose to subtlety at this point. Okay, so we are cycling the Vizier. We are just working on getting our library down to 0. I'm going to Hidden Strings both my Lotus Fields to just generate a whole pile of mana. So it's like we're playing Pioneer over here with double Lotus Field. So it's a fun time when that happens. We would not like to cycle. I'm going to consider, just in order to mill a card, in order to dig a little bit deeper. We can twiddle this Lotus Field again. Keep making mana, make some red mana. I'll play a Wish. Play a Preordain. Put a Hidden Strings on top. Get more mana. And this is just on lock at this point. We can untap both. Take yet more mana. I'm going to just go for the... Well, alright, I'll play another Wish first, because why not? And then I'll go for the Oracle out of the sideboard. We do have 2 cards left in our deck, but they are tapped out, so I don't really worry too much about that. Additionally, we have Echoing Truth, we have Pact, so we can flash back some untappers to generate the mana we need. Alright, so we get the first round against Murktide. I think they conceded a little bit early in game 1, but we had a pretty nice path where we played to our outs and beat a Blood Moon in game number 2. So let's move on to the second match. Okay, so here we are in the second match. I revealed my Jegantha. We have a pretty decent hand here with some cantrips, a ring, and some untappers. We do need to find a second non-Lotus Field land, but with Preordain and Consider, I think that is reasonably likely. So let's see what our opponent is playing. Oh wait, we're on the play. Hang on. I almost skipped our turn there. Can't be having that. Okay, so Tolaria West is not super exciting, but I will take it. I am also going to keep this Hidden Strings, just because with the ring, it's very good. And I potentially could use some to maybe like untap a Lotus Field, tap one of their lands down if they're a deck that might have interaction. So that is a line which might be available to us. Our opponent goes Lair of the Hydra, Oath of Nissa. Interesting. Verdant Catacombs. Not entirely sure what this is. Is this like modern mono green devotion? I didn't accidentally queue a Pioneer League here, did I? I'm just joking. Obviously I didn't. But yeah, Lair of the Hydra, I think sometimes he's playing Amulet. Verdant Catacombs is a weird pickup, and then I don't know what our opponent is doing. We're going to play this Tolaria West, and we're going to hold up our Consider. End step will Consider. Or, I mean, they could be a Bowmaster's deck. I think I'm willing to risk that. Just because I want more information before I even know what I'm considering for. Note that Hidden Strings isn't necessarily the best alongside Lotus Field if I like don't have other cards in play that are relevant with it. Our opponent has a Delighted Halfling. Okay. So this could, I guess, be Yawgmoth? Flare and Oath seem a little bit weird there. I will take more Untappers. I mean, that's just free +1 mana. Breach is also interesting. We kind of have an interesting spot here where the question is, how deep are we going to go on playing this One Ring? Like, are we going to try to go up above 4 mana significantly and then try to win this turn? If I draw like a Twiddle, it's worth thinking about, but I kind of don't have any decisions to make until after I cycle both of these Viziers. I think the key thing is going to be, if I draw a Twiddle right here, we go for it. And if I don't, although Breach is an interesting pickup. So we could get to 4 mana, 5 mana, 6 mana. Wish Breach down to 5. I think it's not quite enough. So I'm going to play the Ring here. I'm going to just draw now in case they have like a Bowmaster. Well, Bowmasters wouldn't really matter, but like a Haywire Might that maybe they could do in response, but I would see them play it. Yeah, I mean, there's not really a compelling reason to one way or another, I don't think. I guess they could have Leyline Binding. It's unlikely, but possible. The protection from the Ring is nice. I would really like another land next turn. I think that would be my preferred pickup. I would also accept a Twiddle or a Dreamscript, although Hidden Strings can certainly be functional in the meantime, especially while I have this copy of the One Ring. Best case, they play like... Oh, is this that green-white? No, it's a Stoneforge. I was going to say, is this that like green-white or Bant enchantments deck? There's a kind of interesting enchantments list I saw recently that was playing like the Solemnity on Lifelock alongside like 9 lives and then like cantrips. But I don't think it played Stoneforge Mystic. Our opponent, regardless of what they're doing, is I think on some type of brew. Maybe they're playing Heliod. Like Heliod with Stoneforge Mystics? Because Lair kind of implies big mana. Viridian Longbow, what is our opponent doing? That's a modern playable card? There's some... Oh, they're probably like Devoted Druid. Some sort of infinite mana combo. Yeah, because then Lair and then I think Longbow also... Doesn't Longbow win with infinite mana? No, but you need untaps. But there's Druid. Yeah, I'm going to guess that this is Devoted Druid. I could be wrong on that. If I'm not thinking of something, let me know in the comments. Oh, Minamo. Decent pickup. Boseiju. I'm going to play the Minamo. Have the second mana available, and we're going to go for Hidden Strings. I don't know what they could have off of 1 green that I really care about, so I'm just not going to bother to tap down their Lair until things are a little bit more like 100% wrapped up. And I mean, things are looking pretty good so far. But let's see what we continue to draw. So here we can entwine. So we'd like to tap their Lair and untap our Lotus Field. And then we can cycle Vizier, untap our Ring. And this should just be unlocked at this point with how many untappers we have. Again, I'm trying to sort of show them a minimal number of cards. So I don't want them to like know more about my deck than... or like know any sort of weird or unusual choices. That's why, again, if possible, if you can choose to either win with the Ring or with, or with Breach, it's generally better to win with the Ring because it gives your opponent less information. Also, it's in my opinion more fun. You just draw all the cards. 1 ring 8, so we can ring one more time, and that would give us 9 mana. I'm gonna wish here. I can twiddle the ring, or sorry, 9 cards. Note that we can't use our Viziers anymore as untappers because we are out of cards in our deck. I'm going to do a Hidden Strings untap. We'll make a little bit more mana. We can use another copy of Wish. So we have Oracle, we have... I should really do one more untap. If I have it, yeah. This will bring me up to like Oracle plus Echoing Truth. Or really, I should, I guess, Breach. It's fine to Breach. I mean, they know we have Breach, or they should, so I'm not worried about that. And I'm just going to Oracle here so that we have Breach packed up. If I wanted to be fully formal, I probably should have done one more untap from the graveyard so that I had blue left over. But it's, I mean, they almost certainly didn't have anything there. Alright, so against a green-white something deck, green-white Stoneforge Viridian Longbow. That's interesting. I'm just going to take 1 second and double check the text on Viridian Longbow here. Okay, so yeah, Viridian Longbow has seen play in like one devoted Druid list. So I think I am interested in some removal. The Dress Down could potentially be interesting, although they could potentially do instant speed stuff. What don't I care about? I mean, Echoing Truth is good, so we'll bring in the Echoing Truths. We do want speed. I am going to cut Pact, I'm going to cut a Consider, I'm going to cut a Sylvan Scrying, I'll cut maybe a Vizier. Probably going to go like this. Yeah, we're going to go like this. Alright, we are on the draw, but that means that we are potentially on the play if this goes to game 3, which is definitely a nice advantage against a matchup that could certainly turn out to be a race. Our hand here is okay. I am going to keep this. We do have Breach, we have a Hidden Strings, we have Lotus Field and a land. Consider hopefully lets us find another land or some sort of other business, Wish or the Ring. Flooded Strand is decent. Or, I don't know why I said Flooded Strand. Dream's Grip is decent. Flooded Strand is going to get us our Surveil land, and then we're looking at probably turn 2 playing this Consider. Hopefully the Surveil land just finds us a... Oh, Devoted Druid. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we expected that. So we'll get the Hedge Maze. Preordain. Do we have time for Preordain? And we could certainly just be dead next turn. I think we don't have time for Preordain. I would like to find a land or like a bolt so that I can try and consider into a... Yeah, I would like to find a land or a bolt. Otawara is the wrong land. I mean, I could Scrying here. The other thing I could do is I could Dream's Grip on upkeep, tap off like their planes maybe. That feels a little bit not super exciting. I may have to do it though. Okay, so I think regardless, we're playing the Otawara. Yeah, try and screw them on white mana? That feels unlikely. Yeah, I think we're in a rough spot here. I mean, we could Scrying for another land. But what are we really doing with that? I think I don't want to tap off. And so I'm going to just save the ability to play this Consider. And then try to maybe somehow hope we're not dead and then kill them next turn. Let's see what our opponent has. I mean, like, they could certainly have Vizier and just kill us here. Seiju. They're untapping. What do you got? 4. Is it Chord? Oh, Finale for 2. Yeah, so I mean, that is going to represent infinite mana. So we can consider, not really sure what we're looking for here. Wish, we will take. I mean, the hope is that they don't have something to play with their infinite mana, but they do have infinite mana now. I'm just going to F6. There's nothing I can do at this point. This Dream Script isn't going to do anything. But, I mean, it's... Our opponent might think that we're being rude, making them play out the combo, but again, I need to see, okay, do they have... Okay, they have Ballista. Alright, so we can scoop to Ballista. We're not going to make them click through that. Alright, so we're dead. And we definitely could have had that, had it gone one more turn, but our opponent was on the play, and they had the turn 3. Sometimes that happens. So we could definitely think about this dress down. I don't know if I'm super excited about that. Are there any other cards here that I kind of really want? No, I don't think so. I think we're just going to run it back like this. I could think about maybe trimming the bolts on the play, because I think we're more likely to be able to race in that spot. I don't mind holding them as a little bit of a hedge. This doesn't have Lotus Field. If it finds a Lotus Field, I think it's a pretty good hand. But if it doesn't, I think it's just too slow. I'm going to mulligan this. This is not exactly exciting, but it is better enough that I will keep it. I mean, we don't have a field, we don't have business, but we do have cantrips. Echoing Truth is a little bit suspect here, and I think that might actually be what I ship, because I'm... Well, his interaction. Alright, so if I keep this, I think maybe I actually do put back Twiddle, hold Truth. And the goal, I'm gonna lead on the Flooded Strand, or the island, I mean, over the Flooded Strand. I do need Wish, so I am gonna take this, even though it's not Lotus Field, because I just need business at some point. Our opponent is on 7. So that's a little scary. We don't care about the vast majority of their cards, though. But this matchup is definitely just a race. And I don't love our chances in this game 3 with this hand. Hidden Strings is kind of mediocre. I'm going to fetch the Surveil land first, just to thin for the Consider. And if I have something I want to keep on top, I just won't play the Consider yet. Okay, no. Don't need that. So then we go for Consider. We're going to bin the Vizier. And if we can draw like a Lotus Field, we're in good shape. But otherwise, we're not in great shape. We do have this Echoing Truth as potential interaction, which is nice. Are they going to just like play a Devoted Druid? They're going to play a Stoneforge Mystic. Okay, so that's a lot less scary. And again, we just need a Lotus Field. Sylvan Scrying. Okay, that works. I mean, we are shields down for a turn, but they're not going to be able to put the whole combo out in one turn. What did they get with their Stoneforge? They revealed Luxior. I don't know what that even is. Alright, we're just going to hope it's not too bad. I mean, I don't think there's a world where I'm not playing my Lotus Field there. I mean, had they gotten... Even if they get Shadow Spear, the Shadow Spear, they use the ability, what are they gonna do with it? I don't know. They play Sanctum Prelate. Okay, we do have the Echoing Truth. We'll see what they choose. They're probably going to choose 1, yeah. Okay, so they hit us for 1 with Stoneforge. We do get to go for it here. I'm going to have to calculate with this Echoing Truth and then Dream Scripts. Okay, so we draw another Twiddle. So I think we probably can do it here, but let me just calculate. So if we Truth bounce the Prelate, we have 1 blue left over. So we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. We go down to 5 with Wish. We go down to 3 with Breach. We can replay one of our grips. We can replay our Wish. I think we should just be fine here. So we're gonna Echoing Truth the Prelate. We're going to Dreams Grip our Lotus Field. I mean, they could certainly still have cards that get us here, but I'm just kind of figuring we're not really in a position to play around much of that. Okay. So again, we can, so I'm gonna maybe, actually no, hang on. Yeah, all right, so I'll Hidden Strings, Lotus Field, and their Stoneforge Mystic. So we would like to untap our Lotus Field. We would not like to untap their Stoneforge Mystic. We would not like to Cipher. So we'll make 3 red. We can Wish. We're going to Twiddle our Lotus Field. We'll go to 3. We have Breach. Now we can Dreams Grip our Lotus Field, getting rid of some lands. We can make more mana. We can flash back this Wish. Get rid of Island, Flooded Strand, Vizier. So now we can go get the Tome Scour. I am going to do a little bit more Dreams Gripping first. We'll get rid of Consider, Preordain, Echoing Truth, cards that aren't going to matter that much here. Our library is nice and divisible by 5, which is definitely convenient. We're going to go for the Tome Scour. Tome Scour ourselves. And again, there are certainly choke points here where they could get us if they have some sort of interaction, but we can't really afford to play around it at this point. I think they're not likely to, given how this game has progressed so far. So we will Twiddle our Lotus Field. 1, 2, 3. One little minor trick of actually executing this combo online, I tend to not play Twiddle if possible and instead prefer Dreams Grip, just because it's a little bit harder to like accidentally make a mistake and click like no that you don't want to use the ability, because Dreams Grip is just a mandatory ability. So it makes it a little bit easier to avoid a potential misclick. So Dreams Grip, you pick untap, you pick the Lotus Field, and now it's just untapping. You don't need to like accidentally click the card to tell it to untap. We've got a couple more cycles of this left. Tome Scour, Chip Bolt, Consider Breach. Our opponent is still not scooping, which raises the question of what do they have. We will have the ability, probably, I didn't count it out yet, but probably we can double Wish so that we have Packed Up. So I think we should be okay, even if they have like a Subtlety, for example, which is what I'm thinking of playing around here. I don't really know that they would have enough blue cards to reliably play Subtlety, but who knows. Got more Tome Scour. Unless they're trying to wait, I mean, they could, if they had an Endurance, they would have used it already. Yeah, I don't know what they really could have here. We know one card in their hand is the Sanctum Prelate. And again, we're just going to make some mana. Scrying, Vizier, Steam Vent, sure. Yeah, they had choke points to get us with the Endurance if they had an Endurance. So now we can get rid of Tome Scour, get more mana. Up to 5. I'll do one more Dreams Grip because I think we can. Sell Hidden Strings, Preordain, Twiddle. We should be able to do double Wish. 7 mana, so actually no, we would need to do one more Dreams Grip after. I don't know if we actually can. That would be a little bit unfortunate if we couldn't. Get rid of one of our wishes here. So we do have... Oh, we could just Grape Shot them. Alright, yeah, I'm just going to Grape Shot them. Yeah, so this is, I think, a nice situation for Grape Shot. I wouldn't have been able to play around Subtlety here. I was like 1 mana short. If I Dreamscript again here, I go down to 3 cards. So I wouldn't be able to Dreamscript and then Wish. So I was 1 card or 1 mana off of that. So instead we go for the Grape Shot here, and we're just insulated against Subtlety. All right, here go, opponent. They have Mindbreak Trap? Mindbreak Trap will get us. Actually, I need to... Okay. I was going to say I need to unyield, because potentially if they Mindbreak Trap... No, we can't quite get there. We'd still have to do, again, another Wish. No, we wouldn't have enough mana. Again, if they had Mindbreak Trap, they would have already played it. Okay, so we are 2-1. Things are going pretty well. That second match was definitely a bit of a nail-biter against Devoted Druid. Let's see what happens in the next. Okay, so next match, we are on the play. We have 1 land, but we have 2 Preordains and a Scrying, so I am going to go ahead and keep this. Our opponent has also revealed a Jegantha. So maybe they're playing Zoo. They are playing Zoo. So I feel relatively okay about this. I mean, the stubs can potentially be a bit of a problem. I'm going to bottom both of these, and Breeding Pool is absolutely perfect. So let's see what they've got. They've got Windswept Heath. Play a Ragavan. Okay. Ragavan is a little bit annoying, but I think it's relatively okay here given the texture of our hand. We kind of have all of the pieces that we need. And, I mean, if they play like a turn 2 Scion, I'm just relatively happy about that. I mean, we do need to be a little bit careful about a potential Leyline Binding on our 1 ring. That's like the one main threat that sort of still is present. So depending on what they do, I might not play this ring on turn 2. They're going for a Scion. Okay, makes sense. And they could have a Binding available after this with the Ragavan. They hit a Lotus Field. Okay, that's good. That thins our deck for us, because I definitely don't want another Lotus Field. Okay, so revealing 1 ring is interesting, because I certainly will play a ring now with the idea that I can then play a second ring. Like, when it eats a Leyline Binding here. So I'm going to sack 2 lands. We can cycle this Vizier so that we can use a cantrip along the way, alongside this ring, so we'll have 5 mana. I think I'm okay with that. We can see what we draw, which gives us a little bit more info. Sylvan Scrying, not bad. We're going to twiddle our ring, or twiddle our Lotus Field. We can Preordain. Wish is decent. We'll take that. And we're going to play the ring. And I'm not going to draw right away, because I expect that they could be holding up Leyline Binding here. So I want to make them use it and then draw in response, versus if I draw and they Binding in response, then they can potentially take my ring. And like, I don't get the draw. I will use it on their end step just in case they, like, just to give it a shot, basically. Okay, they have another Scion of Draco. They maybe don't have Binding, which means we're in good shape. Ragavan doesn't really matter here because... Oh, Dreamscript, perfect. Okay. So Ragavan doesn't really matter here with the hit because they can't actually damage us. Alright, so we draw with the ring. Okay. So we are going to Dream's Grip our ring. We're going to draw again with the ring. We have the ability to draw again with the ring. Alternately, we could just play another ring. So if I Vizier, untap the ring, draw, we potentially could have things get a little bit problematic. Our opponent just has 2 cards in hand. This is a little bit of a tricky spot. I think we're definitely going to fetch a basic island here. That's happening no matter what. I think we are going to Vizier and then untap our Lotus field. If we draw a Twiddle, great. If we don't, I think we just play another copy of the ring. And we're going to keep the one with the 3 counters on it. And then we're going to pass the turn. Which is a little bit unfortunate that we didn't get there. But we have multiple rings that we can chain if we need to. And I don't need the Sylvan Scrying, so we can ditch that. If they have a binding, I do have like an Otawara for it. I also just have 2 more rings, so we can kind of just like play rings every turn. Our opponent mills a Leyline. They play another Nakatl. Play another Wooded Foothills, and they've got 1 mana left, or 1 card in hand left. Let's see what that card is. Worst would be if it was like a stub. We're going to go to main phase. And we're going to draw some cards. Vizier is okay. This is really not... I mean, this is not good draws, though. Alright, so I'm going to Vizier. Untapping the Lotus field. Really could just use another cycler of some kind. Consider. But leaving the ability to play another copy of the ring. Preordain. I could play that and go all in here. Or I could just play another ring. It's a little bit tough, actually. I'm gonna graveyard the Preordain. Okay, we draw a Twiddle. So I think we're likely to hit here. And we do have the extra mana, so we can afford to do this because we can play another land if needed. So I'm gonna Misty Rainforest and fetch to Thin first. Again, we're just looking for more untappers. You have Pact. Okay, so we draw Hidden Strings. So that is very clutch. Now we hit the Hidden Strings. So we should just be good from here. Got a bit of a weird situation with the number of untappers in our deck. Okay. Gonna make some more mana. Cycle a Vizier. Actually, hang on. 7, 8. Yes. Yes, we can cycle a Vizier. And we're going to still get 2 ring activations out of this. Draw our card. Going to Dreamscript our ring. Draw some more cards. We can Twiddle our ring. Draw some more cards. Draw 8 cards, go down to 1 card. Have all of the cards. Dreamscript. We have a Pact for whatever their 1 of card in hand is. We have a Hidden Strings to float some extra mana. We'll make red mana in a second. And make some red mana. We've got Wish. Got another Hidden Strings. Okay, they can see. All right, so we get there in game number 1 against Zoo. What do I want against Zoo? I mean, I need to actually briefly check if they are still playing stubs. I would imagine that they are, but I just haven't fully caught up on the Zoo lists. So let me just take 1 second and then I will be right back. Okay, so I am seeing like sort of two main versions, either like a version with like Stub and Fluster or a version with Force Negation. Our opponent is not playing the Force Negation because they had a Gigantha of their own. So I am going to bring in these Veil of Summers. I'm also going to bring in this other Echoing Truth for potential hate permanents. Bolt could be interesting to try to slow them down a little bit. What am I trimming? They don't really have discard, so I don't mind trimming a Scrying. Could trim a Consider, Vizier. Home Scour can be okay, or Dress Down can be okay. It does kill Kavu. It would turn off Ragavan for a turn, but they don't really have hate creatures in the same way. So I'm not necessarily super thrilled about that. I'll cut maybe another Consider. Pact is okay. I mean, we do want that against Binding, potentially. We need to keep our business count high. Maybe it's another Vizier, which I don't love cutting. Maybe it is one land on the draw. Otawara? Maybe actually it is a fetch land. No. And maybe it's the Otawara. Then one other card. Maybe I don't need the full set of Veils. Maybe it's just 2 Veils. I mean, they aren't that heavy on counter magic. Alright, so we'll go like this. We'll reveal our Gigantha. Okay, so we have Scrying to find our Twiddle. To find our Lotus Field. We have a bunch of Twiddles and we have the One Ring. So we will keep this. It's not super exciting. I mean, they could certainly have like a turn 1 Ragavan and just kill us. That'd be a little unfortunate. But we do have the pieces, and I mean, this is a turn 3 Ring, potentially even a turn 3 Win, depending on the cards we draw. Maybe they tap out, or if not, then we just need to find maybe the little bit of protection or the second piece of business that we might need. So our opponent is passing, so that is nice. I like seeing no turn 1 Ragavan. Breach is pretty good as a second piece of business. And we'll see, maybe they have like a natural turn 2 Scion, which would give us an excellent opportunity to resolve this Sylvan Scrying. So they get Swamp Forest Island, Zagoth Triome, Sultai. This is certainly feeling like a turn 2 Scion. Yep. Yes, Scion. Oh, Neshoba Brawler. Okay. I mean, that's totally fine. A couple times now I've thought about whether we want actually the blue-red Surveil. Don't think I need a Flooded Strand. I think it's a little bit... I mean, it would be nice in some situations to like potentially have open like Bolt on the next turn. The green is a little bit more, I think, reliant or reliable with... What are they thinking about? Okay, yeah. We play, or we get our Lotus Field, then we pass. I think the green is potentially a little bit more reliable with the need for Sylvan Scrying plus like Veil, but there could be an argument to be made for red, depending on the Bolt count, I think. We are going to take a hit from this Brawler. Hopefully, though, they just play like more creatures, and then we can just try to win. That would be ideal. They don't play more creatures. We have to kind of think about what we're doing for a second here. Okay, so they have another Neshoba Brawler. Do they have a land? They do not. Okay, so they're just jamming. They're just jamming. And we did pick up a Hidden Strings, which is pretty nice. So we are going to go Lotus Field. We can sack 2 lands. And so we can Twiddle Dream's Grip our way up to 6. Ring, Strings, and go for it, which I think we definitely do. We're going to play the Ring. Gain Protection. Draw a card. Hidden Strings. Untap both. Draw 2 more cards. We got another Hidden Strings. So that is pretty nice. and a Twiddle. So we just have we have an abundance of riches right now. Well, not a super abundance. We do have an abundance. Hidden strings. Untap more. We have the ability to breach back a bunch of these, so we're in kind of even better shape there than it maybe first looks. Cycle of Azir. We'll untap our Lotus field. I'm going to make a little bit more mana untapping Lotus field. They could get us with an Endurance here, I suppose. That'd be a little bit unfortunate. Okay, so they didn't. So we're going to Hidden Strings both of these. Okay, so they scoop it up. So we are 3-0 with a nice win over Zoo. They sort of felt reluctant to play this second Nishoba Brawler. So I'm going to guess that they had a stub in hand, and they just figured they had to jam and put the clock on us because they didn't draw their third land. That's my guess as to what happened here, based on their hesitancy in certain parts and how they played. But we are on to the fourth round. Let's see what happens. So our hand in this spot is just not something that we can keep. Our only two lands are Lotus Field, so we have to mulligan this. This is a lot better, and we are going to keep this. I think we unfortunately have to ship one of these Preordains, which feels a little bit rough. I could also have thought about shipping the Hidden Strings and sort of more reliably trying to find a Lotus field and figuring I'll find other untappers along the way. I think the more I talk about that, the more I slightly like the sound of that a little bit better. Our opponent leads on Goblin Guide, so this is burn, so we need speed. Dream's Grip is on top. That is speed, so this Wish Breach is good for that. The key thing here is going to be, do we find a Lotus field? So with that in mind, I'm probably... I'm going to fetch a basic and then Preordain. In case what I find is a Scrying and I need to Scrying next turn, we're going to bottom both of these. Delta. Okay. I mean, not great. Yeah, the thought process there, I could have waited and gotten a Surveil land, but let's say I play the Surveil land and then I see like a Scrying on top. Or let's say I don't see a Scrying on top, I bottom it, I don't draw the Scrying, then next turn I have to play the Preordain, and that's overall less digging as far as potentially finding a Scrying. Preordain is on top. Okay. I think we're likely dead next turn, but they do only have 2 cards in hand, so maybe not. We're going to Preordain again. This is again not what we need. Find another Dream's Grip. Now our opponent did see the Dream's Grip, so they do know that we are on Twiddle. So there's not really that much bluffing we can do. And now we're kind of in a spot where we need to hope to naturally draw a Twiddle. Lava Spike, does that just kill us? Okay, wait, so that is 6 damage. They have Skewers, that puts us to 7, 3, 4, 5, 6. I get to Dream's Grip them and try to top deck a Lotus field. They have 5. And fetch an island. I can't fetch the Hedge Maze because I need to use this Dream's Grip. Tap the Swift Spear. I mean, they had a pretty good draw there. Consider on the top. I don't think that's going to do it. I guess we do get to try to consider into a Lotus field, maybe. I don't think it's going to work, though. I don't think I have enough mana for that, regardless. Oh, that doesn't work. Okay. So, a rough game number 1 against Burn. They just kind of... They had a pretty fast clock, and we stumbled, and then we lost. And that's definitely what can happen against Burn. So against Burn, this is basically just purely a race. And they could maybe have an Eidolon, so I do like the bolts to slow down their creatures. Echoing Truth is kind of mid. I mean, maybe they have a hate artifact. I'm going to cut a Well, Now, on the play, I'm a little bit more likely to cut like a Echoing Truth or something like that. Maybe a Vizier is a little bit slow, and the Echoing Truth is a little bit slow, and we're going to go like this. On the draw, I think I'm more likely to leave the Truths in, and then try to... this is not keepable. Keep the Truths in and potentially have to be more interactive. So I'm going to keep this. I'm going to ship the Hidden Strings because, again, I think we need speed. We're looking at turn 1, Preordain, looking for a green land, turn 2, scrying, and then hopefully make something happen on turn 3. With that in mind, we could have potentially shipped the Consider because I don't know that we're going to have a window to play it. Oh, we draw some interesting cards here. Field Ring are both kind of good. Actually, hang on. I wanted that in the other order. Oh, it's too late. Oh, that's not good. I wanted to put it in the other order. Yeah, I am going to keep this. Next turn, we're going to... I wanted it in the other order for Goblin Guide. But potentially, you know, we need to consider and find our second land is the thing. So we're kind of leaning heavily on this Consider. But if we do, we could be in an okay shape. Okay, so they didn't have a Goblin Guide, so we didn't really get punished for it. But it was definitely a misplay. The Ring is a decent pickup. There's some business that we can do something with. Now note that I could play the Ring here with like Island, Field, Vizier, Dreamscript. However, then I would just have 0 lands in play, and I'm a long way from a Lotus field. And just taking damage from the Ring against Burn feels like a bad idea. Okay, well that's bad. We can still win this, but it's a little bit rough now because we need to live essentially through 3 turns of theirs and try to win on turn 4 or play the Ring on turn 4. They have Lava Spike. I mean, their hand is a little bit less explosive than the last one was. They only have 1 creature. The creatures are usually the scariest part of Burn, and they just have, again, multiple Lava Spikes, and they're going to hit us to 10. We could certainly be dead next turn. And we need a land here. Or Preordain into a land, I guess. That's not it. So now we are almost certainly lost. Yeah, I mean, we took cards that we needed to win in order to... And then figured we'll hit the land later, and we just didn't. Exquisite Firecraft. I mean, okay. Can't do a lot about that. I think I'm actually going to Dreamscript this. Just preserve life as much as I can. If they have like second Firecraft, maybe we live a turn. Twiddle is not it. We're super out of this. And again, yes, I know I could play the Ring, but it's not a path to winning this game. The path to winning this game is that they have 2 lands in hand, and 3 lands in hand now, and we just kind of don't die for a couple turns. Okay, Skullcrack. I mean, alright. We're going to Twiddle the Swift Spear and hope we top deck a land. And we're almost certainly dead because they have Sunbaked, they have a Swift Spear in play. Any spell is going to kill us. Okay, fine. Alright, so sometimes your deck hates you and decides that you are going to be losing that game. And that's a little bit of what happened right there. I mean, we could have bottomed the Field and the Ring with the Preordain, but then we need to find a copy of Field. I mean, we do have the Scrying, but that slows us down. And then we need to find Business, and the Ring is Business. So I think it was correct to keep there and then sort of rely on the Consider hit, and we just missed. All right, a bit unfortunate. So we're now 3-1, and let's see how the last round goes. Okay, so we are revealing our Gigantha. And we have a hand of 7 spells that we are going to have to mulligan. Our 6 is definitely looking a lot better here. We can ship one of these lands and then go for a turn 2 Scrying. We have Wish Grip, Preordain on turn 1. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to ship the Steam Vents because I want both of these fetches to sort of maximize the number of cards in my graveyard. Given that I have Wish, I'm more likely to be on a breach line this game, I think. So I want the extra card in the yard. Sometimes breach lines can come down to like 1 card. And I'm going to go Flooded Strand, Island, Ponder. So I'm bluffing that I'm another deck here, basically. The T-West, I don't feel like I need. The Vizier, Vizier's okay. I am going to keep the Vizier here just as a little bit of extra mana and an extra card in the graveyard. I think, again, I'm suspecting that I might be on like a Looping Wish line. So it could be tight on mana. So I'm trying to sort of plan for that as much as possible. So our opponent leads on a Scalding Tarn. This could be a lot of things. Sylvan Scrying. That's a okay draw as far as like something that is technically suboptimal, because if our opponent has like a Spell Pierce here, I don't mind just jamming one of these Scryings and seeing if it eats counter magic, but it doesn't. So we'll get Lotus Field. So we can potentially, if we count the mana, or depending on what they do, not in a position. Okay, so they get Commercial District. They're surveilling, so they might be that some of these like new. Well, they're not new, but like the Scape Shift Titan type stuff, which has been seeing a bit of an uptick lately. Could also be maybe Creativity or something like that. Inti. Okay, so it's I think this is Asmo then. All right. So what do we draw? Echoing Truth. So Echoing Truth is interesting. So I can play my Lotus Field. So let me just, I think we certainly do not have enough mana, but let me just count it real quick. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Wish, Breach. No, we do not. So I could Sylvan Scrying for another land and play my Lotus Field. I could also Sylvan Scrying, or I could also Vizier. I could also Vizier. Yeah, I could Vizier, untap, hold up, Echoing Truth. I think I'm less likely to need to do that. I don't think we're going to die next turn. Again, I'm reading Inti as Asmo. So I'm going to just grab an untapped land here. Namo could be good with the ring. Otawara could be good if I need to bounce something. Boseiju could also be good if I need to potentially deal with something. I think there's a case to be made for getting Otawara. I probably want the blue mana and not the green mana if I don't need to deal with something. So this is sort of an in-between hedge against maybe I need to deal with something, but I also want a land that's like better for me to try to win with. All right, so our opponent is attacking with their Inti. Let's see what they discard. So they discard Daredevil, confirming Asmo. And then they, what do they do? Bloodstained Mire? Oh yeah, they exile the Bloodstained Mire. So they'll play that for turn. Probably. Bloodstained Mire. So like Bloodstained Mire, play Asmo, get Cookbook, play Cookbook. Something like that. Hopefully that's what they do. Thoughtseize would be what I wouldn't want to see. I think they... I don't know if they play... If the Asmo decks play the Thoughtseizes in the main deck. I need to maybe check on that. But... I won't worry about it. Nothing I can do about it at this point, and it wouldn't really... Well, I don't think it would have changed my plays. It's not like I could have gone for it there, so this Wish is just kind of susceptible, but that's the reality of it. Okay, so they play the Bloodstained Mire. We're looking for untappers, really, at this point, so that we can go for a big Wish loop. Next turn, we'll have 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. Wish, Breach, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, flashback the Wish. I think it's tight. It depends on what we draw for the turn and draw for the Vizier. Constraint being cards in the graveyard. Okay, so are they going to name Vizier? Are they going to name the One Ring? I'd actually be happier they name One Ring here. Yeah, they did. Okay. So we are on our graveyard plan. They bring Daredevil back. They play Cookbooks. They are sort of tapped out of everything. And if we need to, we could bounce this ring with Truth if we don't think we're going to be able to win this turn, but I think we might be under enough threat that we maybe are priced into going for it this turn. Let's see what happens. Draw. And Vizier. Okay, I think that does it. Because now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana, 5, 2 with Breach. We have a Dreamscript in the yard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the 2 Viziers are 8, 9. So I have 3 disposable things out of my yard. The 3 disposable things that I play out of my yard are Grip, Grip, Wish. So I think we're okay. And if we draw good off of these Viziers, then it's just even better. Draw well, I guess. I was somewhere between saying draw good cards and draw well. I don't know. A gooder draw, hopefully. That's the way to say it. All right. All right. So we're untapping. We're Dreams Gripping. It's a little bit unfortunate that we do have to kind of show them that we have the rings. I mean, they likely know we have the ring. I mean, we did play the Sylvan Scrying. That's kind of the giveaway between the Temur and Grixis versions. So we can Dreamscript our field, get rid of some cards that we don't care about. Then we can make more blue mana, flash back our Wish, get rid of some more cards that we don't care about, and we are off to the races. Tome Scour. Scour. Get rid of that Consider. I don't know why I said that like that. Dreamscript. Untap. Lotus Field. Ring. Namo. Breach. And at this point, I mean, unless they have some sort of strange interaction that we are not thinking about, that is something that doesn't cost any mana, just kind of have this on lock. Home Scour ourselves. We can exile a Scrying, a Twiddle, and a Wish. I could have done 2 Twiddles, who knows. Scour, Scour. West Island 1 ring. Scour again. Pull the ring field. So, given that they have Needle and like hate artifacts, we are certainly bringing in our other copy of Echoing Truth. Bolt can be okay. On the draw, I like it a little bit more, but it also isn't. Generally, as a combo deck, you want to make sure that if you're bringing in a card, it's answering a card that directly stops you. None of their creatures really directly stop us. So we don't bring in Bolt, and we just kind of rely on going faster. Inti is certainly annoying, but it's not like annoying enough that I think I care that much. The main way that they're going to attack us is going to be like hate artifacts. Alright, so we'll do one more Tome Scour. We have 4 cards left, so we are getting rid of the last of them. These Hidden Strings. They do have a food. Dreamscript again. We have Pact in our yard now, which is nice. Pact is now just available to us. A Wish. Get rid of, I don't know, Twiddle. Consider. Tome Scour can go now. And we have a Pact boosted Oracle. Alright, so we get there. Note, I chose to win with Oracle there rather than show them Grape Shot because Oracle is sort of the known win condition. Grape Shot is not. So maybe there's a situation where they like play around Oracle and then we juke them with Grape Shot. For example, they might have something like Cursed. Is it Cursed Totem? Yeah, Cursed Totem. No, Cursed Totem is the activated abilities. Which one's the static abilities? I don't remember. Whichever that one is. Not the stat. Trigger abilities. Whatever. Okay. So cards that we want, I mean, they could certainly have discard. We could play Veil. I'm going to just quickly check on the most updated lists, and then I will be right back. Okay, so I am really just kind of seeing a bunch of hate artifacts, no discard. I'm thinking about bringing in the Brotherhood's End just to have another card that answers sort of the big pile of hate artifacts. We can trim a Scrying, we can trim a Pact, and a lot of what they have attacks the ring. They do have a little bit of ways to wipe the graveyard out. I don't really want to cut a ring. I'm maybe going to cut like, oh no, we're actually at full. Okay, so with Pact and Scrying out, End and Truth in, I feel pretty okay about that. And we'll go like this. So we are up a game against Asmo. This hand is, I mean, it has all the pieces. We have the Boseiju, which is potentially nice. I am going to keep this. It is definitely a little bit slow. We're just kind of hoping to draw running Twiddles. They have a Stomping Grounds and a DRC. Okay. I would like to not have to play or use this Sylvan Scrying if I can help it. Turn 1, I'm going to play this tapped Steam Vents, because I'd like to keep up this Boseiju if possible. So really, I was hoping to draw like a fetch land. Well, I wouldn't really want a fetch land, but if we got a fetch land, that could have been interesting, because then we could have potentially, okay, they're playing a Saga Cookbook. Yep, so they're surveilling a whole bunch. Hopefully they don't get Delirium here. But if we had gotten a fetch land, then we could have gotten our Hedge Maze and then had a green to hold up Boseiju. We don't really need the green yet, but it does mean that we can play like a Scrying on 2. Sorry, not to hold up Boseiju. To play a Scrying on 2 and then Boseiju off of like the Lotus Field or whatever we need. Okay, so Daredevil goes back. They have land creature in their graveyard, so we're still just taking 1, which is a nice relief. Lotus Field, number 2 is really not what we needed. We're going to get an island here. And Underworld Breach is also not what we needed. We really need untappers. So we're in, I would say, rough shape at this point. I mean, next turn we can play Lotus Field, but if they trigger the Delirium on these, this clock is going to go from 0 to 100 really quick, and I don't know that our hand has enough speed to keep up with it. Although, no Delirium this turn, maybe. So that's nice. So I know out of the 3 cards in their hand, they have Daredevil. They're going to make a Construct. We're probably not dead next turn, but we're probably dead the turn after. And they're also going to get Hate Artifact with this Saga. So here, I think it's just play Lotus Field. We don't really have any other options. We have to, again, I think we just live this turn, but we need to do something next turn. Hopefully they get like a Needle and then we like draw Dream's Grip. That would sort of be best outcome. And they're making another food, so this construct is getting bigger. We could potentially just die here, but we've really just drawn brick, brick, brick. All 4 of our draws. 3 draws? How many draws have we drawn? 4? Then all bricks. Yeah, the field is a brick, the flood strand is... Okay, no, 3 draws. All 3 of them have been bricks. Okay, so they are searching, and they're tapping this for mana, not making another construct. So that raises the question of what do they have with their mana? I'm not sure. This will take them up to 3 card types in their graveyard. So if they get like a Bauble or something like that, they could get that to get Delirium, smack us for 10 at least, which would be kind of scary. But if they're going to do that, they could have made another construct anyway. Maybe they figure we're dead in 2 turns anyway, so it doesn't really matter if they make another construct, which is pretty reasonable. Destroying artifacts would be interesting, but we would still be facing down these two channelers. And we know that one of the cards in their hand is Daredevil, so Cookbook represents +1 artifact with that. Soul Guide Lantern is definitely a little bit rough, because the plan we are on is the... Oh, and they have Needle for Ring. Okay, so they have both options covered. So, I mean, the thing with Twiddle is that, like, you know, yeah, sometimes they have hate for one thing and you just have the other thing, but in this case, them having both options covered is a little bit rough. Okay, so maybe they didn't have another land, and that's why they... Okay, so they're making another food. Yeah, so we're taking 13 here. So our best draw is the ring, because then we can fetch, play the ring, even though we can't use it. Next turn, Boseiju this needle, and then try to go off with the ring. So that's the plan. Another cookbook means another token. Are we? No, we're not dead here. 9, 10, 11, 12, 15. 15! That's crazy. I mean, we know they have Daredevil in hand. They don't have, like, Bolt. Bolt will just kill us. Alright. Namo. That's not going to do it. We're dead. Alright. Yeah, there's nothing we could have wished up for. Alright, so they just kind of... we didn't draw blue cards, and they kind of ran over us. Sometimes that happens. So what do we want? I think we just want to ship it back like this. I mean, maybe we could think about the Sylvan Scrying on the play, just to potentially have a little bit more speed. Like, guarantee we find a... Well, it would also tutor out, like, a removal land, which could be nice. Yeah, I think I do kind of like the Sylvan Scrying on the play. What am I interested in cutting? Maybe a Vizier? Maybe a Consider. Yeah, maybe a Consider. The untappers, I think, are maybe a little too important. Alright, so we have the ring, we have 2 lands in a Lotus field. We have an Echoing Truth for any sort of hate that they might have. We're definitely going to keep this. Having the Boseiju be one of our lands is a little bit awkward, because we can't, we can't use it to, like, kill something. So, while it's not, I wouldn't be excited to draw another land next turn, I would certainly accept it. Let's see what our opponent plays. They've got Stomping Grounds. It's a DRC, okay. Hidden Strings, that is okay. We're going to play the Boseiju. And we're just going to pass. We do have Echoing Truth up if we need it. I think even if they play a hate permanent, we're not that likely to use it here. Unless it's like, I guess, like an Alpine Moon or something. Well, even then. I'd have to see. Hopefully I didn't jinx us there. I mean, we'd have to win the same turn in that case, which feels a little bit less likely. Hopefully they just, like, hit us and then play, like, I don't know, another DRC. Asmo. Tarmogoyf. That's totally fine. Okay, so we go to our turn. Pick up another Breach, which is not the best as far as cards go. We have Lotus Field. We sack 2 lands. We twiddle our Lotus Field. Untap. And then we play the ring. I'm going to go ahead and draw our card now. West. Could be worse. The tapped land is not really it, but you know, if I have to pass a turn, it is at least a land, so I can keep developing mana. I mean, they could certainly have a lot of artifacts or whatever that interfere with what we're doing. We do have the Echoing Truth. Okay, Soul Guide Lantern is not that scary. It's a little bit annoying in that maybe I have, like, Breach Hidden Strings lines with Ring. So, I mean, that could be a little bit annoying. But we can, to some degree, play around this, especially if we just, like, want one Twiddle out of our Breach. Oh, and they have Needle also. Oh, that's a little annoying. Let's see what they flip with Channeler. We maybe are going to have to pass another turn here. We should be able to survive the hit, bounce the Needle on end step, though, which would be kind of nice. Oh, and they have Alpine Moons. They just have everything? Okay. That's pretty rough. Yeah, they just have everything. All of the hate. Hate that. Alright, so we're going to need to bounce that with Echoing Truth. I mean, yeah, you're welcome to attack. It doesn't do anything here. And the tough thing now is we need to get rid of 2 of these things in order to win. And we can't even do it this turn because our Tolaria West comes in tapped. So we're going to have to pass. And I don't know that we can take 2 hits. I mean, maybe. We're probably going to have to take 2 hits. But the question is, what other card do we get? I mean, maybe it's like Truth, the Moon. Now, maybe it's Truth, the Needle, try and draw with the Ring in order to find another, but it would have to be another Truth. I do miss Engineered Explosives here. I think we might be in rough shape. And Bauble is kind of whatever. I mean, at least this Dragon's Red Channeler isn't turning big. Bolt. Oh, now it might be. Yeah, that's instant. All right, never mind. So we've got really 1 turn here. Actually, I think we might just be dead now. But yeah, the triple hate. I could have beaten, I think, any 2. Well, if they had Soul Guide plus Alpine Moon, or no, sorry, if they had Needle plus Alpine Moon, I'd be in a little bit of a rough shape because I'm kind of far from having a breach line. 7 is going to put us to 8. I mean, technically we're not dead, but odds are not good. Oh wait, we're dead to the ring though. Okay. So yeah, I think we're dead here. What do we draw? Dream's Grip. That's not great. I mean, I do get to Dream's Grip like the Goyf or something. Like if I Dream's Grip, I didn't advance my board at all. So we take 3, 4. We have the Truth, but like, what am I hoping to draw next turn? I like Truth, the Needle, Ring, draw land, Dream's Grip, the Goyf. They replay Needle. Again, what are we hoping to draw next turn? I mean, that maybe is the play. Then next turn it has to be like multiple cards. Yeah, I think this is the play, but it's not good. We're certainly dead here. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we would have actually had this if not for the Alpine Moon. We could have beaten Soul Guide plus Needle. We could have also beaten Moon plus Soul Guide. I mean, I guess this is a start, but I think it's just still basically 0%. I'm just going to fetch the island now. We have to Dreamscript the Goyf to tap it down. I'll play to my outs, but it's looking grim. They're going to replay Needle. Yeah, and then what am I doing? It's a great question. And I have Echoing Truth, I guess. Maybe we can string together some sort of... Okay, they have an Inti. We're gonna tap the Tarmo. We'll take 4. Oh, we're dead to the DRC now. Let's make sure they put the counter on the right thing. We're dead. We're dead. Okay, Asmo. Alright, fine. Well, maybe... No, there's no way for us to live in response to the ring. Yeah, a little bit rough here. And they're going to replay the Needle. Yeah. Okay, fine. Alright, so they get us. So we end up with a 3 and 2. I feel like that was decent. I feel like our deck was not cooperating that much in some of the later games. I mean, we definitely could have won that Asmo game. They just had triple hate, and, you know, sometimes that happens. I think that the selection of decks we played against was certainly a little bit of a weird selection, although that is certainly something that can be expected following a ban. Our win against Murktide was pretty nice. Domain Zoo is definitely a real and strong deck. And we will, you know, we'll keep playing some other things, try some other stuff out. Next up, I'm probably... Actually, hang on. Let me just hop back over to the deck list and I can give some final thoughts on that. And then I'll talk about what's next up. Okay, so here we are back at the deck list. Again, I feel like the deck kind of worked as advertised. A little bit of fail rate or stumbling at the end there. And, you know, that can certainly happen. But we had a pretty strong start with our first 3 rounds, which felt pretty nice. As for what I would change in the deck list, I kind of like a lot of this. I mean, Jegantha is not really a card you're ever wanting to play, and the games are really not going to the point where we need to be playing Jegantha. But the nice thing about Jegantha is that we look like Zoo, which has real value. Because, I mean, people are prepping for that. Maybe they want to keep removal. We have 0 creatures or anything like that. So looking like Zoo, I think is valuable enough that Jegantha earns its slot. I do like Veil over Grid as the sort of anti-counterspell tech of choice. The rest of this, I do also like the Grape Shot in addition to the Thassa's Oracle. It potentially was useful in one round there. I mean, I think the Subtlety was not something that they were very likely to have at all, but it did let us play around it, whereas there was nothing that they could have had versus Grape Shot other than Mindbreak Trap, but that gets anything. The main deck Pact I think is still relevant enough that I don't mind playing it. I do like Manamo in here as an untapper on Ring. And yeah, that's basically it with the deck list. So next up, I do want to work on Case of the Ransacked Lab a little bit more, see if I can do something with Blue-Red Storm, especially in light of the Violent Outburst banning. I think Remand is kind of an interesting spot there. So, you know, the Cascade decks being banned, well, not fully banned, but Cascade, it's maybe still good. I don't know. All right, I'll save that for that video. Other than that, yeah, that's probably up next. And, you know, if you haven't already and enjoy the content, definitely feel free to, you know, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I appreciate all of the feedback, and I appreciate you guys watching. You know, I enjoy making these things, and, you know, hopefully some of you enjoy watching them. So other than that, until next time, what are we doing today? Keep untapping your 1 ring and drawing your entire deck in 1 turn. That's something pretty messed up, and exactly the type of thing we like to do here. All right, bye.